Darkness is not the end. It is where the greatest desires begin. In Highlands where poverty is a companion, a shepherd child saw the future. She did not find hope in books, but from the raw and furious power of nature itself, where every lightning strike whispered a secret promise. In those eyes, there was no fear of the thunder, only a deep fascination for the energy that illuminated the vast, dark sky above her. The contrast was sharp, the heavy silence and darkness of her small home versus the violent, magnificent light dancing in the wilderness of the world. She reached out her small, weathered hand, as if trying to capture the very essence of the storm, a hunger for power growing in her heart. At the edge of the world, she realized that the energy meant to destroy could also be the energy meant to save her people from darkness. The storm was not a threat, it was a calling. It was the spark that would ignite a fire within a soul destined for global greatness. Discipline does not begin in air-conditioned rooms. It starts in the dust of barren fields, under the relentless heat of a rising, unforgiving sun. Every morning, before the world woke up, her journey began. Each step on the sharp gravel was a lesson in endurance and unwavering iron will. She understood that to conquer the heavens, her feet must first be rooted deeply in the discipline of the earth, performing chores without any complaint. No honest work is ever wasted. Every blade of grass she stepped on and every sheep she guided taught her the virtue of endless patience. Those rough hands, though stained with the soil of poverty, were becoming the tools of a creator, learning the mechanics of light and survival. Even in the smallest repairs, she sought perfection. She was training her mind to see solutions where others only saw broken things and cold darkness. The wind was her constant adversary and her greatest teacher. She climbed higher every day, seeking the places where the air moved with most power. Consistency is the quietest form of genius. She did not seek quick results, but the steady accumulation of strength through years of hard, physical labor. Behind every great empire is a foundation of sweat. She was building hers, one bucket of water, and one day of herding at a time. The shepherd child was slowly transforming into a leader, her spirit forged in the fires of discipline and the harsh reality of her daily life. Do you remember the story of the green frog? He was stuck at the bottom of a deep well, surrounded by the echoes of doubt. The other frogs shouted that it was impossible, that he should stay in the mud. But the green frog kept jumping, higher and higher still. He succeeded because he was deaf to their negativity. He mistook their discouragement for cheers, and that misunderstanding gave him the strength to escape. Our girl was that deaf frog. She was deaf to the fear of failure and the mockery of those who could not see her vision. She began to study alone. Her library made of discarded manuals and the patterns of the wind. She saw gold in what others called trash. Every screw turned and every wire connected was a step away from the well of poverty. She was building her own ladder to the sky. The village whispered and doubted, calling her dreams a waste of time. They wanted her to stay in the shadows where they felt comfortable. She didn't argue. She didn't explain. She simply worked harder, listening only to the roar of the green energy pulsing through her very own veins. When the first spark appeared, the laughter stopped. The impossible was happening for their eyes, powered by nothing but the air and her will. She had jumped out of the well. Now the entire horizon belonged to her, and the light she created would soon cover the entire world. The philosophy of the grain teaches us a vital lesson, that massive accumulation over time eventually leads to a profound change in overall quality. A single seed becomes a harvest. A single idea nurtured by relentless discipline, becomes an industry that can change the fate of an entire nation. She didn't just build a small company, she began to cultivate an empire of light. Solar panels replaced the rice stalks in her grand vision. Her hands still bore the scars of her youth, but now they moved with the precision of a master architect designing the future of energy. Across the highlands, the landscape transformed. The wind that once chilled her bones was now the force that powered thousands of modern homes. This was the scale of her ambition. She understood that energy is the currency of progress, and she was determined to become its master. The empire builders are not born as geniuses. They are simply those who never learned how to quit, even when the world was against them. She connected the dots of the world. From the smallest village to the largest city, her network of clean energy began to pulse with life. She stood at the helm of a revolution. The shepherd girl had successfully turned the fury of the storm into a billion-dollar legacy of light. The silence of her success was louder than any storm. She had proven that the most sustainable power in the universe is human persistence. From a child who feared the dark to the global queen of green energy. She stood before the world, a symbol of ultimate transformation. Her voice now carried the weight of authority. She spoke not of profit, but of a future where no child would ever have to be afraid. Her influence spanned the globe. Her projects were not just businesses, they were lifelines thrown to a planet in desperate need of a clean start. In the furthest corners of the earth, the darkness was retreating. Families who had lived in shadows for generations now saw the light of hope. This was her true victory. The smiles of children reading books at night were the dividends of her years of rough hands and discipline. She never forgot where she came from. She treated every worker as a fellow builder, knowing that every screw tightened was a blow against poverty. The world was changing its colors. The gray smog was being replaced by the vibrant green of a planet that had finally learned to breathe again. Her journey was an epic poem of resilience. She turned adversity into an asset and converted her deepest fears into the light of salvation for humanity. She had become the storm herself, a force of nature that brought light instead of destruction, and hope instead of despair to the whole world. Remember this: discipline is not a burden. It is the greatest legacy you can ever gift to yourself. It is the architect of your destiny. No matter how small the task, no honest work is ever wasted. Every drop of sweat is a brick in the foundation of your future empire. The people who build empires are not the ones with the most talent, but the ones who simply refuse to stop when things get difficult. Look back at where you started and look forward to where you are going. The distance between those 2 points is measured by your iron will. Iron discipline is the only key that can truly unlock the door to changing your own fate and the fate of the world around you. The age of light is not a distant dream. It is waiting for you to write its next chapter. The power is already in your hands. Do not stop. Do not falter. The world needs your light. Step into your discipline, find your power, and never, ever give up on your vision.